Well, visit Pretoria in South Africa, and chances are you might choose to come and visit the Boer Monument, which stands just behind me. A world famous monument built to commemorate the Boer trekkers who 175-ish years ago embarked on the Great Trek to get away and have some independence from the British controlled Cape Colony. And this monument commemorates their struggles and movement as they trekked inland across South Africa. But as is the case on this channel, we're not here for well-known monuments. Instead, we're going to drive around 2 hours south of Pretoria to try and find something slightly more obscure and completely unknown. Well, just behind the Boer Monument is a small little military museum and a statue commemorating Danie Theron, who was the commander of a commando unit in the Anglo-Boer War and a bit of an icon for that time, known for his guerrilla tactics and leading reconnaissance missions, including the use of the humble bicycle to go and gather information and travel across vast areas of land quietly and quickly. But we're not here to see this Danie Theron statue. No, we're going to travel a couple of miles, or a couple of hours, I should say, south of Pretoria to see if we can track down Danie Theron's monument, which is on top of a hill where he was eventually killed in 1900 by the British Army. And I believe this monument is in a bit of a state of disrepair, and given its remote location, something that's not really visited by anyone today. So we're going to drive there and see if we can track it down and see what we can find out more about Danie Theron. So join me as we hit the road. Well, good afternoon from the middle of nowhere in South Africa, where I've just pulled off the side of the road to where I think the entrance might be to our Danie Theron monument. And in fact, we are in the right place because I can see it just behind this gate in the background. However, we do have an immediate problem in that our gate is locked by not one but 3 padlocks, and there's some barbed wire on both sides, so it doesn't look like it's open to the public or open to visitors. So my first task is going to be trying to get in here, because I've just driven 2 hours from Pretoria specifically to see this Danie Theron monument, and well, I'm not going to turn back without seeing it now, especially as I can see it in the distance. So I'm going to try and get over this fence, and well, it's going to have to be a break and enter job. So let's see if we can navigate our fence. Right, little break in traffic, and I think our best bet is going to be to try and go through this little gap in the barbed wire fence. So let's put our rucksack through first. Right, now let's see if we can clamber through this barbed wire without getting shredded to pieces. Right, we're through. To get my shorts a little stuck on that barbed wire fence, but we are on the other side. So let's see if we can head on up, and you can see the main monument, or you might be able to see it just at the top of that hill, which is that big column. And then there's another gate at the end of this pathway where I think there's another little gate or monument to Danie Theron. So anyway, let's head on up this path and see if we can access it. And we'll leave our car safely tucked in the official Danie Theron monument parking space, aka a lay-by at the side of the road. Let's head on up. Right, well, who was Danie Theron then? He was a Boer fighter in the Second Anglo-Boer War, which kicked off in 1899, fought between the British Empire and 2 independent Boer republics. And the British Empire was trying to gain control and also gain control of some of the gold mines in the region. And the Boer republics were trying to resist the spread of the British Empire. So yeah, Danie Theron joined the Boer Commando Unit and was described as a thorn in the side of the British Army due to his pioneering tactics of some guerrilla warfare. He pioneered the use of a bicycle commando unit used to conduct reconnaissance against the British military forces to gain intelligence. And I suppose in those days, where the alternative would have been to use horses to travel about, bicycles were quite a good alternative. They're quiet, cheap, don't require feeding, don't require watering, and it was very successful for Danie and his commando unit to gather intelligence against the British Army. But Danie eventually was killed in a hillside attack in 1900, and that is exactly why I've come to this monument, and that's why it's in the middle of nowhere, because this is the very hill or the very area where Danie Theron would have met his end to the British forces. But if I just flip my camera around, you can see the main monument up on that hill, and we've just come to this intriguing looking gate, which, well, it's got a path going around the side, so it's not a gate to restrict entrance anywhere, but wow, look at this. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera behind me, but on the gates depicted, you've got two, well, I presume that would be Danie Theron or two commandos on horseback on either side, and you've got some lit torches in the middle, and up on the top in between it says 1872 Danie Theron to 1900. Born in 1872, died in 1900 on this very hill that we're here to see. Hey. Oh, unlike the other gate, this one's, well, it is open, it's slightly ajar, but not sure I'm going to be getting through that. And I don't need to, because I can walk round, but hey, that's pretty cool. Just left, forgotten about on this hill in the middle of nowhere, off the lay-by of the road, in a locked gate, so no one can see it. The lost monuments of the Anglo-Boer War. All right, well, we're going to leave our little Danie Theron gate now, and it looks like the path ahead, I presume that path will lead up to our main monument on the top of that hill up there. So let's head on round and see if we can get to it. We can probably just see just over my shoulder and around the corner is the main Danie Theron monument, but just before we get to that corner, I can see on the side of the path there's some other interesting looking things. If I avoid some fairly prickly looking cacti on the floor. Here, another little piece of monument, and if I just clamber up one of these stones to get a better look and position my camera inside there, there's a little plaque. Daniel Johannes Stephanus Theron, Captain Daniel Theron. All right, well, just beside the main Danie Theron monument, we've got this little plaque, which is in Afrikaans, but yeah, it basically says that this monument was erected on 9th of September 1950, and that was almost exactly 50 years after the death of Danie Theron in 1900, and that the main pillar, this main concrete pillar, is made up of 50 different rings, 50 different concrete rings, which represent one for each year since his death to the erecting of this monument. And then right on the top, although it's maybe a little hard to see, is a stylized or sculpture that's supposed to represent the flame of freedom, which would have been a symbol of the Boer republics and their symbol and fight of freedom against the British forces. And we would have seen, we saw that flame represented on some of the gates and other parts that we saw on the way up to the main part of the monument. But yeah, that's what's on top. Well, looking up close at the main column of the monument, you can see those different, or the little rings of the concrete rings that make up the 50 or so to mark the different, or the 50 years since Theron's death and the erection of this monument. And right at the top, if I zoom in a bit, it's very hard to see from down here, but on the front are some letters spelling out Danie Theron, his name, which sit just beneath that stylized freedom flame sitting on the top. Well, just at the very side of the Danie Theron monument, you can just about get a little glimpse and view over the surrounding hills and of the motorway where we came in. If I flip my camera around, I don't know how easy it will be to see on the camera, but in the distance you can see some of the mines, gold mines, which sit just around this area. And of course, it was those gold mines, or some general gold mining in the area, which the British forces were aiming to take control of as part of the war. And of course, the British forces were eventually victorious in the Second Anglo-Boer War, but of course that didn't stop the likes of Danie Theron living on in legend and having this monument built on the top of this hill. All right then, guys, well, I think that marks mission success for coming to see the Danie Theron monument in the middle of nowhere in South Africa. And yeah, well, it's a bit of a shame that it's not very accessible, but I guess the whole point is that this monument marks the location where he died on this hill. But yeah, I mean, even then, there's zero parking apart from the lay-by at the side of the road where I left my car, and then a completely closed fence with some barbed wire to crawl through to actually come and see it. So yeah, seems a bit of a shame because it's quite an impressive monument and of course a really important piece of history from the Anglo-Boer War. But well, that's what I'm here for, to come and investigate and catch it on camera. So I hope you enjoyed watching that, and thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.